Hi.
Hello. Blair McKee, nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you. I'm Jossie. So, Blair, let's get started. Tell me about a time when you had to cope with strict deadlines or time demands, and give me an example if you can.
Yes, so my first year at Xavier University, I was the intern in the Center for Diversity and Inclusion for Marketing and Communications. And a key part of my role when I was hired was to create the newsletter that comes out of the office. And there had been a newsletter previously, but it wasn't really very effective. So my job was to kind of revamp it and do research based off of the previous data that was from the old newsletter and kind of see where we could have room for improvements. I was hired on a Monday, and the newsletter was supposed to come out on a Wednesday. So I had 2 days to get everything together. I had to run surveys from students. I had to improve the recipient list for the newsletter, and I had to create also a new layout, design, all of those things for the newsletter by Wednesday. So I was able to come up with a draft for the newsletter by that Tuesday, and my boss approved of it, and so it was able to go out on time by Wednesday. And as a result of that, the newsletter was way more successful. I was able to engage with more people on campus that the previous newsletter had been engaging with, and I was overall able to make it bigger and better than it was before.
Wow, impressive. Good. Okay, now, it's pretty realistic to say that no job is completely free of conflict. So, tell me about a time when you were able to express your opinions maturely in spite of disagreements or objections.
Yes, thank you for asking. So there was one time where I was working as a resident assistant or as an RA my sophomore year, and I had a disagreement with our SRA. So the SRA stands for Senior Resident Assistant, and those individuals are just like RAs, except they have just a little bit more administrative responsibilities. And so one night we had a staff meeting, and the SRA was passing back our balance for our budgets. And so there was a mistake on my report, and I politely raised my hand and asked about the mistake because she always opens up for questions after she hands the reports. So when I raised my hand and asked about the mistake, she became very upset and she got very angry and responded in a way that wasn't so polite. And it had been said kind of in the past that she had been a little difficult to work with anyways, so some other staff members already had a few issues with her previously. And so I let it go. Even though she didn't respond the way I wanted it to, I waited until the end of the meeting to address it. So at the end of the meeting, I pulled her to the side and I just explained that I didn't appreciate the way that she responded to my question. And she apologized to me and told me that she understood where I was coming from and that she was just very stressed with school and with finals, and that she would have rather me ask her that question in private versus in front of the entire group. And so as a result of that conversation, we were able to come to a consensus of how to better communicate with one another. And it also caused her to reflect on her relationships with other staff members. So she then went on and had conversations with other people on the staff to kind of see where they can improve their relationship. And ultimately, it just created a better team dynamic overall. And so from that, I learned how to address conflict head on and how to move forward and create solutions.
Good. Now, describe a time when you were able to adapt to a person from a background or culture that was different from yours.
Yes, so I am a senator on student government, and so I had to do a project with a senator that I hadn't really interacted with before, and so it was my job to go out and get the marketing materials and also the event materials with this individual. And so we went to the mall, and this individual practiced Islam religion. And so while we were at the mall, she expressed to me that we would have had to leave early because she had to go back and pray by a certain time. And so I was very understanding, and I explained that I was completely okay with leaving at whatever time she needed so we could get back. And on our way in the car on the way back, we talked a lot about like our faith traditions and how they're the same, how they're similar. I am a Christian, so we talked a lot about the similarities between Islam and Christianity, and just breaking kind of like myths and stereotypes from both religions on both sides. And we had a very insightful conversation. And as a result, she really felt that I was accepting of who she was, and she felt like she was comfortable around me, and our relationship really grew stronger. And it really challenged both of us to go and interact more with other people in our SGA cohort, and really challenge each other to create better, long-lasting relationships and have a better team dynamic and work well together.
Good. Okay, and final question. Why should I hire you?
Oh, thank you for asking. So you should hire me for several reasons. But the first one would be just because my personality traits and qualities, my leadership, my education, my work experience, all of those things combined are really unmatched compared to other candidates that are applying for this position. I also am very organized, I'm very creative, and I'm very good at coming up with solutions to different problems that the company may face. And I have a lot of other unique attributes to myself that have been evident to be successful in team dynamics. Also, with my background in marketing and gender diversity studies, I know what it takes to market to different cultures and people that come from different backgrounds. I personally have been to about 14 different countries, and so with that knowledge and with the research that I've done, I'm able to market to different cultures, which is something I know your company is looking to expand. So I know that those traits will be very valuable to the company as they're looking towards expansion. And I mean, lastly, I spoke to this earlier, but my experience in marketing at Xavier University in the Center for Diversity and Inclusion, I think that that experience will be very paramount to this position.
Okay, well, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.